What's going on, Jerome's? So, one of the features of this season, unfortunately, ending is it could be the ending to one of the Vikings' all-time great players in safety, Harrison Smith. And Harrison is going to be 35 in February, and the former 2012 first-round pick, the second of two first-round picks. Don't look up the other first-round pick from 2012. But the man from Notre Dame has been a Vikings legend on the back end, and the Vikings have had some pretty damn good safeties throughout our history with Paul Krause and Joey Browner. Harrison Smith was a combination of both of them, a guy that could lay the wood, a guy that could lay back in coverage, and he could do everything, man. And for many years, especially in that Zimmer Hellfire defense, he was the straw that stirs the drink, and Harrison Smith should be a Hall of Famer. He's got very comparable numbers to Troy Polamalu, and I think that he should be remembered as one of the all-time great safeties, man. And last offseason, there was some kerfuffle of whether Harrison Smith would be back or would retire or take a pay cut. And, of course, we remember the response to Thomason, the whole Prince thing. But Harrison Smith, the question is, after this season, will he retire? Will the Vikings be forced to cut him? Will he play somewhere else next year? And a lot of things are up in the air right now, and the raw reality of the season being abruptly ended, I mean, it's tough. But after the game yesterday, this is what Harrison Smith said. Alec Lucy, Athletic, go. Viking safety Harrison Smith on his future. Whenever I retire, I'm not going to tell you. You'll figure it out. I'll say this. It's hard to have the ability to play and not have the desire to play. I'm not trying to be ominous or anything. Right now, my shoulder hurts. And Harrison, last couple games, it's been pretty clear that something wasn't 100 about him. And Harrison Smith hasn't made a decision, hasn't thought about it, won't think about it for a while, wants to spend time with family. He did say this about playing for Brian Flores and staff. I really enjoyed playing for this staff a lot. And this one is a little bit more ominous. So, Kramer, Strib, Harrison Smith, quote, I've been at peace for a while. When I was a kid, I never thought I'd play in the NFL. To have a career I've had to this point, it's pretty cool. I got to play with a lot of great people, a lot of great players and coaches, a lot of struggle, a lot of ups and downs. It's kind of what makes it so fun, too. Sorry, I don't have any more info, end quote. So, I mean, that's a line, when I was a kid, I never thought I'd play in the NFL. That's a line that comes straight from the press release or Instagram post about retirement. So Harrison's not a dummy, and he's a guy that has had a lot of interest off the field, and he is going to be 35, and he's a guy recently married, family man, all that stuff. So it may be time. It might be, and the Vikings either way will have to have a decision, because Harrison, respect. I mean, Harrison was due a $14 million salary last year. He took a massive pay cut down to 7.5, 8 and change with incentives. And now in 2024, Vikings face another decision with Harrison due a $14.45 million base salary, none of it guaranteed. The Vikings can free up around just north of $11 million in cap space if they do release Harrison or if he retires. So, yeah, I mean, the Vikings in the next couple months, like March, third day of the new league year, a portion of that becomes guaranteed. So I think the Vikings and Harrison will have to have a discussion about a pay cut or a cut or retirement. And Harrison, I mean, he's had a phenomenal career. And for many, many years, he was one of the best safeties in the league. He was a hard hitter. He was great in coverage, and he was a great leader and a guy who, he wasn't a rah-rah vocal type leader, but he was a dude who just lead by example and did his job the right way and was a pro's pro and was a great example for all the other young defensive backs that came through this team. And Harrison, if this is indeed it, all-time, 766 solo tackles, second all-time. Who's number one? Carl Lee. Although tackles and solo tackles weren't necessarily tracked for a long time. It doesn't matter. But because where's Scott Studwell on here? But 45 tackles for loss, tied for ninth on the all-time list for the team. 34 interceptions, fifth. 86 passes broken up, numero uno. 12 forced fumbles, eighth. 19.5 sacks, which is first amongst defensive backs, and 101 pressures, obviously also first amongst defensive backs. And it could be a spot too where maybe Harrison's career was prolonged a little bit by being in the Flores defense, because I mean, guys like Cameron Bynum, guys like Josh Metellus were ready to rise up, and if the Vikings were playing a traditional 2 safety look, I don't know what would happen. And if Flores goes and the Vikings go back to said traditional 2 safety look, do things get crowded? Like, how do they divvy up playing time if all 3 of them aren't out on the field? But like I said, either way, Harrison Smith, I know, make the right decision for him, and the Vikings will make the right decision for them. And it sucks. Obviously, I think that Harrison could still play, and if the Vikings move on and he wants to get another mini bag somewhere, make a couple extra million, and everything's all hunky-dory, that'd be great. But although my nightmare would be, so Zimmer takes the Packers DC job, and then Harrison Smith can't do it. Like, I don't want to put it out in the universe, but it's just on my frontal lobe. I can't get rid of it. But either way, like I said, one of the all-time great Vikings, future Vikings Ring of Honor, obviously, as well as should be a future Hall of Famer. But I think that he may have to fight to get in, because he never got the time of day from the national media jabroni haircuts. He never got the time of day from opposing fan bases. But Harrison's our guy, and he always will be, no matter what he decides this offseason. But your thoughts are thoughts. Could this be it? Will Harrison Smith retire this year? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.